Hello, TheLadyKeziah here. Have you ever felt like you've outgrown the life you've been living? Not because there is something wrong, but because something deep inside you is whispering that there is more for you. More clarity, more alignment, more purpose. TheLadyKeziah is my name. I address the difficult yet necessary conversations we know we are supposed to have. What do you do in these moments? How do you navigate that silent shift? There is a specific kind of restlessness that doesn't arrive on the wings of crisis. It doesn't stem from a broken relationship, a failed career, or a sudden tragedy. No. Instead, it arrives in the quietest moments. Over a morning breakfast, during a routine commute, or in the stillness before sleep. It is the realization that you have outgrown the life you are currently living. Nothing is explicitly wrong, yet everything feels slightly ill-fitting. Like a suit tailored for a version of yourself that no longer exists. When you have given your own fabric, your cloth, to a seamstress to sew, slit, and cover for you with your own measurement, and yet all of a sudden you wear that same thing. It is not big on you, it's not tight, but it doesn't fit as you expected it to be. It is something internal that you can explain to another soul. When this happens, it is rarely a loud demand for change. Should I repeat? When this happens, it is rarely a loud demand for change. It is a whisper. It suggests that there is more, not necessarily more stuff. When some of you hear these things, all that comes to mind is material things, more stuff. No, it has nothing. This awareness has nothing to do with more stuff or even more success in the traditional sense, but more clarity, more alignment, and a deeper sense of purpose when purpose is calling. Understanding what to do in this moment is the difference between stagnation and comfort and evolving into your next iteration. Let's consider the following. In the comment section, let me know what resonates with you too. Is purpose calling? What are you doing? Number one, the guilt of the good enough. The most difficult hurdle in acknowledging the growth is the absence of a visible problem. Oh, you have a good job. You have a beautiful business. You have a successful business. You have an amazing married love life. You have wholesome children. Financially, you are solvent. What at all do you want in this life? It is purpose calling. Another soul cannot understand this. Society conditions us to be grateful for what we have, especially if our lives are stable and good by external standards. When we feel a pull towards something else, we often meet it with guilt. We ask ourselves, who am I to want more when I have so much? However, outgrowing a life isn't an act of ingratitude. It is an act of evolution. Should I repeat? Outgrowing a life isn't an act of ingratitude. It is an act of evolution. Just as a seed must eventually break its shell to become a tree, the human spirit frequently hits the ceiling of its current environment too. Feeling like there is more for you isn't a rejection of your past. It is a recognition of your potential. Number 2, listening to the architecture of the whisper. When that inner voice begins to speak, the first and most important step is to listen without judgment. Most people try to drown out the whisper with more work, more distraction, or more logic. They try to reason themselves back into contentment. To move toward alignment, you must instead audit your life through the lens of energy rather than obligation. Where are you performing a role rather than living a truth? Where does your life feel like a series of shoots rather than wants? Clarity often comes not from adding more things, but from identifying the parts of your current life that have become unnecessarily heavy. Number 3, the brave art of incremental alignment. The brave art of incremental alignment. What do you do when you realize you are out of alignment? The misconception is that you must blow up your life, quit the job, move across the world, or end every tie. Misconception. While radical change is sometimes necessary, this whisper I'm talking about usually calls for a more surgical approach. Like acknowledging the gap, follow the curiosity, and experimenting the shift. Simply admitting I am no longer the person who fits in this space reduces the internal friction. That is to acknowledge the gap. Purpose is rarely a lightning bolt. It is a trail of breadcrumbs. In the moments of relentlessness, pay attention to what makes you feel awake. What topics, people, or activities make the whisper grow louder and more certain. That is to follow the curiosity. Start making small choices that reflect the new internal landscape. This might mean setting new boundaries, exploring a side interest, or changing how you spend your energy. These are stress tests for your new identity. That is how you can experiment the shifts. Then number 4, embracing the void. Between the life you've outgrown and the life that is waiting for you lies a period of the void. This is the space where the old no longer satisfies, but the new hasn't yet manifested. It is an uncomfortable and an uncertain zone. However, this void is where the more actually lives. It is the space required for new clarity to settle. It is the space required for that new clarity to settle. To navigate this, you must develop a high tolerance for ambiguity. You must trust that the whisper isn't leading you into a vacuum, but toward a version of yourself that is more integrated, more honest, and more alive. In conclusion, outgrowing a life is a sign of health, not a sign of failure. Outgrowing a life is a sign of health, not a sign of failure. It means you have successfully completed a chapter and you are ready for the next chapter of your life. When that deep internal voice suggests that there is more for you, do not quiet it. Do not apologize for it too. Instead, lean in. The whisper is the sound of your future self calling you forward. Should I repeat? That whisper is the sound of your future self calling you forward, inviting you to trade the comforts of the known for the vibrancy of the aligned. What you do in those moments defines the trajectory of your growth. You can stay in a house that is too small, or you can step out into the vastness, that vastness of your own possibility. We always have a choice. TheLadyKeziah is my name. I'm a licensed psychosocial counselor and a transformative mindset coach. If you want to work with me, visit my profile and you see my link there. Book a session with me. We can become more, do more, and give more. I address the difficult yet necessary conversations we are supposed to have with our own selves. Think about these things. Much love and peace.